My guest this week is Congressman Pete Aguilar. Pete was elected in 2014 to represent California's 31st District, which includes the cities of Redlands and San Bernardino. His past accomplishments include becoming the youngest member of the Redlands City Council in 2006 when he was only 26 years old, as well as serving as the mayor of Redlands from 2010 until 2014. And most importantly, Pete is a fellow Bulldog graduating from the University of Redlands in 2001. It's an honor to have the congressman on the program. Pete Aguilar, welcome to Inside the Studio.
Thanks for having me, Evan. This is great. Looking forward to this.
It's my pleasure. How did your time at the University of Redlands influence your decision to enter politics?
How much time do you have? I think. I learned and grew so much here on campus that's a tough answer. But I think in so many ways. But the most important, I think, that kind of sticks with me is giving back to the community. Community Service Learning Office, Tony Mueller here on campus, who everybody knows, is such a hero and a friend of mine. But getting out into the community and understanding that the university experience is not just limited to University and Brockton and Grove. It's outside of the walls of this campus, and really how the university encourages students to do their community service and to get involved and active with the community is something that really stuck with me. I could go on and on about the government department and the business department and the individuals here on campus who helped kind of shape that experience. But I think the biggest, single piece is Community Service Learning Office and Tony Mueller and how they just kept encouraging me to grow as a person and to continue to be involved in the community. And that was kind of the natural, transition to, working in public life and becoming an elected official.
What was your fondest memory from your time at the university?
Fondest memory, I think, just the culmination of it all, graduating, here and not too many steps from where we're at now, was a huge experience. I was one of the first in my family to go to college. My brother and I were the first two. He's a couple years ahead of me. But to have that experience and to be able to share it with my grandparents and aunts and uncles and everybody who came to be a part of it and to see it happen at a small school where your classmates and people here and that was a really special part of my experience in 2001 graduating.
What is it about Redlands that made you want to represent it, not only on the local level, but on the national level as well?
Yeah, it's the people, it's our community. It's making sure that we're advocating for policies and proposals that move the Inland Empire forward. As someone who grew up in San Bernardino and Yucaipa and lives here now in Redlands, it was just kind of the realization that folks here, we're middle class families who are working hard, to give their kids the best opportunity possible, and to make sure that they have a voice on the city council and in Congress now, to carry on what they want done. I love those colleagues to death. They are incredible people. But I didn't feel as someone with a young family that there was that there was anyone on the council who represented me, who was a voice for young families and who had been to all 16 parks that the city has, and I thought that we needed a voice of someone who was just kind of that transitioning period of someone who wanted to be in Redlands and wanted to raise their family in Redlands, but wasn't necessarily retired, and that's great. It's a lot of time. It's a huge time commitment, and my hat is off to all of our local elected officials throughout the region. But I wanted to make sure that there was a voice for young families and people who wanted to be here long term in the community as well.
How has the transition from mayor to representative in Congress been?
Well, it's different in so many ways. The city council's a part-time position. You're the policy body, but the city staff are the ones who actually get the job done. And in Congress, you're a policy body of 435. So to make something happen, you need 217 other people going in the right direction, going in the direction you want to go in. And on the council, it was a little easier to count to three. That was, I think, the biggest takeaway. Obviously, the personal side of traveling back and forth. I come home every weekend. The family is here. The kids go to school here locally, and Alicia still works on campus part time. And so that piece has been the biggest kind of obstacle and learning curve is how to manage it on both coasts. But the reason why I do it and the reason why I love it is to represent this community, to help give Inland Empire families a shot at the American dream and to make sure that isn't lost on anyone. Those are the fun pieces. It's been a great transition. I've got a good team, a good staff around me, and I think we're doing right by the region.
You've supported University of Redlands students with positions in your campaign and government offices, and you've also met with our students when they visit you for May term in Washington, D.C. Can you describe some of the opportunities that University of Redlands students can apply for?
Sure. Yeah, we have, as you mentioned, we have internships that are available to young people, irrespective of the institutions they go to. We don't play favorites. We have some great Cal State, San Bernardino, and UCR students and Valley College students helping out as well. There's a official side, and I think there's a tab on our website, aguilar.house.gov, where people can get information on internships. There's also the university has, as you know, a Tinker Scholarship, which is something that I benefited from as well, to go to Washington, D.C. and to learn more and to spend a kind of a dedicated time there. And there's May term as well out in D.C., where it's kind of an intense experience being there for a few weeks. Those are great. And then you mentioned the campaign side as well, the campaign experience. That's kind of how I cut my teeth as well, was getting involved in campaigns and knocking on doors. And that's the side of helping get someone elected. And we have had plenty of young people from all over the region help us accomplish those pieces as well.
What kind of projects are you working on right now? Are there any pieces of legislation you've been involved with that you'd like to bring to our listeners' attention?
Sure. I mean, there's so many. I mean, we've been focused on jobs in the economy. Some of the first bills I introduced were all about making sure that the Inland Empire continues to grow and put people to work. We need areas where young people can graduate here, and I want folks to stay. I mean, and here at the university and in other universities throughout the region, we do a good job drawing young people from throughout the West and throughout the nation. My challenge, my opportunity is to help make sure that young people also have a chance at that job to stay in the Inland Empire. We don't want folks leaving. We want young people starting their business here, raising a family here, being involved in the community here. Those are the things that really make the community tick. But on the education side, increased Pell Grants, making sure that Pell Grants are available to students. I benefited from one. I know so many students, here, also have that experience, and I think that's an important piece to make sure that doesn't go away, and to make sure that government continues to play a role in helping people, achieve the educational dream. So we're doing a FAFSA workshop as well later in the month, in a couple weeks here, and I think that's going to be an opportunity. When I filled out a FAFSA, I'll date myself here. I mean, it was a paper copy, and you're filling it out, and I had to borrow. I didn't have any help. I borrowed my parents' tax returns, and I used that information on the FAFSA. I asked my mom a few questions, but my mom didn't know what we were doing, and she didn't know that this was the way I could go to college is to have a good financial aid package. So I took it serious, and I wanted to do it myself because I wanted to show that I took it serious. So my wife has some experience working in the financial aid department too. So it's an important piece for me personally to make sure that step is accomplished. So young people can go to college and go to trade and vocational schools as well, which play a big part in the Inland Empire economy. So those are things that we're working on now. Also, some senior fairs that we're planning for later in the summer, and I have a veterans advisory group that has also given me advice on veterans legislation and areas where we can continue to support our veterans with jobs and that transition to medical care when they come back home to take care of them. So those are some of the critical priorities of the office. But I have a good team here locally as well that's also does what we call casework, which is helping people navigate the process if they're having trouble with Medicare, Social Security, federal agencies, to help them through that process to iron out the issues that they're having, and that's a big role that the local office plays.
What are the most important lessons that you've learned since you began serving in public office?
Well, it's been like 10 years now, yeah. So it's coming up. I didn't even really think about that. 10 full years in public life. The community comes first. That's it. If you're worried about your next election, then you're not doing your real job. So you've got to do the job at hand, and that means serving the community and doing everything you can to help people. And if you do that, the politics kind of sorts itself out. But that's the big piece, the big lesson. And I tell high school students and college students this all the time. I mean, you don't have to be an elected official, but what you have to do is to be involved. And it's our obligation to help help community cleanup days, to be active, in making the community a better place. If each of us plays that role, this is going to continue to be a special place to live that will only get better.
What advice do you have for young people who want to take up a career in political life?
Some of those same pieces. Get involved, be active. Don't be afraid to start at the bottom. Knocking on doors and introducing yourself to working for an elected official or a candidate for office is a great place to start and to learn. But learning those public policy pieces is important, and I think that's a great place to start.
You recently attended the American Futures Conference hosted by James and Deborah Fallows, who were on the show last week here at the university. In your opinion, what were some of the most important takeaways from that event?
That some special things are happening across the country, and that local government is incredibly responsive. And I think that's some of the frustration and difficulty people have with Congress and with the federal government is that they don't see things happen, and they don't know if the process is always working for them. Whether it's how we fund elections or whether it's the dysfunction in what gets done, or fiscal crisis and debt ceilings and all these kind of terminologies. It's just crisis to crisis. And what the conference touched on and what Jim and Deb, continue to talk about is how local governments are kind of the hub of innovation and change and getting things done. And I've tried to take that into, what I'm doing now is acting like a mayor for a little larger area. But I want to be focused on getting things done and working with people on both sides of the aisle. And if it's a good idea, I don't care whose it is. Let's do it. If it's good for the region and good for the country, those are the metrics that I try to use on policy. So those were, it was a great conference, but a good opportunity to meet local government leaders from across the nation who were really focused on getting things done.
Before we go, I just have to ask you, since you're our closest connection to what's happening in the 2016 presidential race, do you have any thoughts at all that you want to share with us?
Oh man, I got a whole nother show about thoughts, but no, I'm a super delegate as well, so I play a role in the process. As we get closer to the convention, I've openly endorsed Secretary Clinton and want to be helpful, and was a surrogate for her campaign and in talking at an event recently. But it's been interesting to kind of see the process play out. I'm not sure if a year ago any of us thought that it was going to be just just like this, that the Democratic side was going to be, go a little back and forth in the first couple contests, be very close, and on the Republican side, to see kind of anti-establishment individuals like Mr. Trump, and it's been an interesting election to date, and I would imagine that it'll stay that way for a little bit here.
Absolutely, and the next time you come on, we'll have to talk about what's been happening in the last few months since then. Thank you so much, Congressman Aguilar, for coming on the program.
Thanks for having me, Evan.